staying with us on the Sports Show. Of course, one of the big great races that we have in South Australia, the Tour Down Under. As we know, that gets us on the world stage here in Adelaide.
We do it well.
We're pretty happy about this. This man eventually is going to be in it, and I tell you what, he's going to be a chance to win it too. Graeme Frislie joins us. Graeme, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good to see you here, mate. Now, East End, he was the East End Street winner just a couple of weeks ago. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Super
Series, got to race on Rundle Street, which was pretty awesome. Don't get that opportunity every day. And yeah, it was an awesome day out. Had all the way through the grades, all the juniors, and it was all just great racing.
For you to win it, mate, there's, just so the viewers understand, it's not you ride off and then 30 seconds later they let someone else go, and 30. It's 60 or 70 riders at the start, and you go. So if you watch a triathlon, for example, and all the swimmers hit the water, one of the things they're always concerned about is getting kicked or getting hit. Yeah. So imagine 60 or 70 cyclists going.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
How hard is it to avoid a crash right at the start?
It gets pretty hectic, especially on that kind of circuit, because there were 2 U-turns as well. So it was pretty crazy with people dive bombing all the corners and just going everywhere at the start. But it's pretty important to get on the start line early as well. I was, front row on the start, which was nice, yeah.
And a lot of a lot of yap.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, I liken it to a horse race. And I've seen the guys go, and they do that. A lot of yap, get out of the way, get out of the way. It's the same with the jockeys. They do exactly the same thing. Hey, and whatever. I cannot believe how close these guys are to each other.
Yeah.
When they go, when that 60 or 70 you're talking about.
So what are you looking at? What are you looking at when that's happening all around you, like says?
I've kind of learned just to not think about it.
So just go.
If you think, then it's too late, kind of thing. So yeah, you just got to follow your instincts in that kind of situation, especially at the start when everyone's fresh and so everyone's feeling good and they're all willing to go through gaps that might not be there. But it normally settles down
pretty
quite
quick.
a bit.
Yeah. Because you've had a nasty fall, mate, which did some damage. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah.
So is that in the back of your mind, or do you don't worry about that? That's part of the game. If you're going to go, you're going to go.
Yeah, it is part of the game, but it was a bit hard at the start. Probably middle last year, had a big crash, broke a few bones, and then...
Whereabouts, mate? Where'd you have the prain?
It was at the track, actually, at the Superdrome.
Okay.
And it was in a trial for the World Champ selection.
That's handy.
So, it wasn't...
So it's just the collarbone, the sternum, the vertebrae.
Collarbone in my back, ribs.
That 12th man, lucky he didn't hurt himself.
Yeah.
How long was your recovery from that?
It was a good couple months where I didn't really do very much. I was on the couch for a while.
Yeah.
And then my first racing back was the Super Series last year, and that was real good to get the motivation up, especially through those kind of months where I wasn't doing much and doing the gym and the rehab. It was really the Super Series that kind of gave me that motivation. It was the next step for me to get back into it.
Do you have a team that works with you, mate? I mean, you were saying recovery, couple of months, laying on the lounge. For me, after a prain like that where I did all that damage, I'd be thinking, maybe tennis.
Yeah.
Maybe tennis isn't a bad game. Or whatever. Do you have someone that's motivating you to get back on the bike and away you go?
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's so many support staff with Oz Cycling and the Australian cycling team. We got physios, like psychologists, everyone. And I had to get cleared by everyone as well before I was allowed to start riding again, even the psychologists and everything. Make sure that I was in a good enough space to get back into it and put myself back.
Yeah.
And let's talk about your journey into Oz Cycling, mate. Of course, Commonwealth Games, you rode there.
Yep.
But from Bacchus Marsh to the Com Games, mate, how did that journey eventually?
Yeah, it was a pretty long one. I've been riding and training quite a bit since I was pretty young. And it was kind of just the next step for me. All the way through juniors, I was still focusing on school and that. So I was training seriously, but not like fully seriously. And then once I graduated from year 12 in 2019. And then I went full gas in 2020, just on the bike, just training, doing everything that I could. And then I was lucky enough at the end of that year, I got a call up to join the team here. That was real good.
Wow.
Joining the team here, mate, it has helped you in multiple ways. Just to be in I guess everything's here, the physio, the track, the cycling, the whole lot.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit about the Super Series, mate, because some people are familiar with it and some not. How would you describe the Super Series?
The Super Series is probably the premier series in South Australia. It's been going for quite a few years now. And yeah, it's really awesome racing. We've had some of the previous winners, the previous track boys who are now in Europe racing as professionals, like Sam Welsford, Kel O'Brien, Lee Howard, Luke Platt. They've all been here, they've all done these races, and now they're all they've all medalled at the Olympics now as well and doing real well.
So it's a good incentive for you, isn't it? Good role model for it. Toughest race in the Super Series, which is the toughest track?
I'd say probably Gawler.
Yep.
It's really hilly as well. It's pretty much the only race with hills in it, so especially for me, it makes it pretty hard. But no, it'll be racing there next weekend, and I'm pretty excited to see how that goes.
So what's your strength, mate? You're talking about this business. You didn't sound too happy with that.
Nah.
No one's happy with hills, mate.
I'm a bit more of a sprinter type, but I'm still light enough to get over a few little punchy hills, so it actually won't be too bad for me on the weekend. But I haven't done a race like that for a while. So
what's the distance in Gawler?
I think it's 55 k's. So it's not super long, which is good for me.
It sounded super long to me when he said 55k. I've got to tell you, it sounded super long to me, unless I'm on the electric bike. How much tactic goes into that?
A lot. Yeah.
Is there drafting? Is a little bit of drafting? And is there? There's not probably supposed to be, but how do you pick your moment to go? What's the key?
Again, like I was saying before, it kind of just comes down to instinct.
Yeah.
I've been racing for a long time, and that's one thing that I've been able to develop really well is just the ability to not have to think.
So you can read the race.
Yeah. It is really hard, especially with the Super Series. It's different because it's teams racing as well.
Yep.
And the main prize is the teams classification, GC. We won that last year with the Oz cycling team, but most of the boys were away for a while, so we're not up there in the team standings at all at the moment. So it makes it really interesting racing with people cover certain teams or it just opens up to really interesting racing.
What's your goal, mate? What's your aim? Where do you want to be in 3 years?
Hopefully at the Paris Olympics. That's
a pretty good one. Yep.
Yeah. That's the end game for me at the moment, and then hopefully moving to Europe with a professional team and pursuing that.
Which every cyclist wants to do, I think.
Other than talking to the athletes, the cyclists that have had family or friends involved in it, most of them have been drawn by the Tour de France. That's kind of the big cycling mecca, isn't it? Mm-hmm. As a kid growing up, was that something that drew you into cycling?
Oh, definitely, yeah. That was really where I started my kind of interest in the sport.
Yep.
We were a pretty active family. We'd go out mountain biking and just riding on the weekends and stuff. And I saw the Tour de France on TV one day, and I kind of saw it that's what I want to do.
I don't want to disappoint you, but there's some hills in there.
Big ones.
But you've got time after Paris. Paris.
Yeah.
Hey, Graeme, it's been a great career for you so far, other than the accident, mate. Hopefully you have no more of those, and we look forward to tracking you now to see how you go on the weekend, of course, and then I'm sure we'll get you in from time to time, mate, pre-Paris and everything else to see how you go, and then we'll get you in after you win the Tour de France, mate.
Might be a little while.
Might be a while, mate. Graeme Frislie was our special guest. Stay with us, still a bit more to come.